Hey everybody, welcome to Readers of the Right. Today we're doing a really fun episode that I've put a lot of thought into, and one that honestly was probably one of the funniest videos I've ever actually done, and that is the top 5 lore-accurate Warhammer armies as of this point in 10th edition. A lot of people are referring to it as 10.5 after a bunch of rules changes that recently happened. Now, this list is not definitive and does have some parameters and rules that we'll discuss really fast, and then we'll dive into it. So, rule number 1 is I'm not going to use broad categories. So, for example, if I say Space Marines, I will define a chapter. To be clear, I did not put Space Marines on this list because that felt like the easy layup. There are a lot of different Space Marine chapters that have very good lore accuracy, like the Space Wolves, the Blood Angels, not so much. Dark Angels, their rules feel like they should play lore accurate, but they don't play as lore accurate as I'd like. And obviously, Ultramarines, they're going to play like Ultramarines because that's how Space Marines play. I did the same thing with Imperial Guard. I did not include them on this list because A, they don't have a codex, so it's kind of hard to tell. And B, the obvious answer in Imperial Guard would be Cadians, but they're kind of like the Ultramarines. They play exactly how they're supposed to play because Cadians play that or do that. There's no real effort there. So I did leave them off the list. We'll call those honorable mentions. I do have one other honorable mention, and that is the Death Guard. They came close. Honestly, I'd put them as a 6 on this list. They have some issues still with their gameplay, but they do play mostly well. And a lot of their characters and units play exactly how they should play. But they have some holes and some inabilities that they struggle with that get them really close. Now, with this list, I'm going to label them 1 through 5, but I do feel like they're kind of interchangeable, and it's entirely up to personal opinion. So I would just say they are the best in my opinion, and they are the top 5. Although the number 1 on this list is the one that I feel the strongest about. When their codex released fairly recently, and I saw this, I was super excited to see how this played on the tabletop. This is not an army I'm going to be building, and I'll explain that when I get there, but the rules are so good and so lore accurate, it is absolutely insane. So, let's dive into this and talk about these a little bit as we go. Now, number 5 is one that surprised me, and one that I have started playing with kind of by happenstance, and that is the Farsight Enclaves for the Tau. The Farsight Enclaves play a little bit, or act differently to the Tau. There are a few different detachments you can use. The one that I've seen that works the best is the Montcalm detachment. But, like I said, there's 2 or 3 of them that would fit decently well with the Farsight Enclaves and how they act. I do have... I picked up a combat patrol recently, and I'm starting to experiment a little bit with them. And my Tau will be Farsight Enclave because... Commander Farsight just looks cool, and that the rules that are attached to Farsight and all of his followers are, in my opinion, the best. But really, Tau in general play pretty lore accurate in a pretty decent way. They have some holes in gameplay, but in the lore, the Tau have the same holes. very few of them are good in hand-to-hand combat across the board. They prefer to stay at range. And that's just as true in the stories as it is on the tabletop. And some of the unique traits of the Farsight enclaves take that a little bit further and give some unique skill sets and abilities that are enjoyed on the tabletop as well. Number 4, I had to rep my arc short for this one, and that is the Dread Mob Detachment with Ghazghkull Thraka in it. This plays exactly like the Ghazghkull Thraka stories. This is an army that I hope to eventually own. I do not. Every time I've almost got the Orks, it has not worked out. Either I can't find what I'm looking for, or I have another army that I'm working on, and I need to finish filling that out before I get on to the next one. Kind of like the Tau I'm working on now was kind of a complete accident. I won a couple different contests, and one got me the Codex, and one got me the Combat Patrol, and now I have about 350 points of Tau. So, so I've got to figure out what to do with those. I've also got a bunch of Tyranids. I've got a Necron squad that I need to figure out what to do with, but that's what's getting in my way of having an Orc army. But I do hope to eventually have an Orc army. I don't know if this exact one is what I'll go with. The Dread Mob is cool, but it plays fairly similarly to a few of the armies I play. The other one that tempts me is Cult of Speed, which is another great example on this as well. Not as good as Dread Mob in my opinion because of Ghazghkull, but I love both. They're both fantastic. And for this list's sake, and because of Ghazghkull, we're going Dread Mob for the Orcs. Third on this list is the Necrons. For a very similar reason, I went with the Canoptic Court detachment so that we have Trazyn. Trazyn brings some very unique abilities to the game that are really fun. I say that with some sarcasm because I'm never the one playing the Necrons. I'm playing against them. And Trazyn gets thrown in my face a lot. And it is really fun to play because you just never really know what's coming at you. And Canoptic Court feels the closest to the Necrons that would be legal in the game. The Necrons in lore are more overpowered. A lot of times one Necron warrior will knock out an entire squad of Space Marines, but on the tabletop, that's not really possible. And I feel like the Canoptic Court gets the closest to that feel without just making them extremely OP. So, and I know with that one, there are other options. The Silent King has his detachment as well. And if you talk to Necron players, that's a pretty decent split, whether Trazyn or the Silent King or the one you prefer. I don't see the Silent King in gameplay very often, so I can't speak to that one as much as I can Trazyn. So that is the one I went with there. Necron players, if you disagree, let me know in the comments below. I am completely open to it. Like I said, personally, I own a squad of Necrons, Necron warriors, and an Overlord. But I'm always looking to learn more about them and a lot of the cool things you can do with them. So, and that goes for the other armies as well. If you disagree or have thoughts or opinions, let me know in the comments below. I did make some lists as well, and if you would like to see those, ask for them in the comments. I'll make sure to post them there per request. I don't want to take up the entire screen with just list information, especially since rules will change and lists will change. And I don't want to just invalidate this entire video by putting a list on here that's only going to be good for a few months. Now, number 2 is the army that I'm going to do after the Tau because I absolutely love them. I've had the opportunity to play with this army a few times. Not one I own, but a friend allowed me to play them, where we just swap armies for a fight. And that is the Adeptus Sororitas with the Argent Shroud. Honestly, these last three, the deciding factor that which part of the organization we picked is entirely based on the character you can attach. And that is Morgan Vall in this case. She takes this to the next level. There are other detachment or other branches of the Adeptus Sororitas that are very good and are very, very common on the tabletop and in gameplay. But in my opinion, this one feels just a little bit more lore accurate to the stories that are involved. Like I said, and that is a small little bit. The sisters in general play very lore accurate to sisters. So it's not a big difference like a few of these. But yeah, it's a good one to play across the board if you're looking for lore accuracy. The sisters are a great one to do. They're also a pretty decent starting army. Now, let's talk about my personal favorite, which is an army I will never play because I hate them. And that is the Alpha Legion with the new Deceptors detachment. Now, because of the lore and everything tied to them, I despise the Alpha Legion. But these rules are really cool. It's something that, while I hate them, I will not be mad seeing this on the tabletop. When it is done well, it looks fantastic. And the Alpha Legion playing this detachment feels very much like the Alpha Legion, sending hordes of average humans to go do their bidding while they take care of business. And the lists that I've seen come out of this particular detachment are fantastic as well. Make sure you check those out. There's some big Alpha Legion players who have released these lists and have played it in some battle reports. So I'll just encourage you to go there. But this is probably the most lore accurate that I've ever seen a single detachment in an army. So make sure you check that out. And if you think I missed anything in particular, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts if I missed one or I might not be aware of one that is very lore accurate as well. That does happen because sometimes you have to have the exact right combinations. But I look forward to seeing those in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got a lot of really cool videos like this coming. And I can't wait to talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.